When you introduce yourself to someone, what is it that you start out with? Is it your favorite color, your best hobbies, or the fact that you have a YouTube channel? No, it's your name. You don't say, "Hi, I'm such and such, and I've done 1.5 million things that I'm just going to list out for you real quick." You just give them your name, and then you kind of go from there. And so, in a very real way, our name has this permanent link to our identity. And it's kind of the thing that we have to use to identify ourselves to everyone, at least until we go and change our name, and then we can go ahead and switch that up. But whatever name you end up with does become a permanent tie to your identity for as long as you have it. In this way, names are attached to us in the way that they kind of make us unique or important, as your identity and your name together are what makes up that uniqueness. Someone thinks, "Oh, yeah, that Rachel is great because she rode 1,000,000 roller coasters." People will always tie your name to your accomplishments, at least if they care at all, or if they can remember your name, which is not always the case. At any rate, the fact that this name is so important has always struck me as an interesting thing. So much so that I started questioning the meaning behind my name from a very young age. And by a very young age, I mean like walking in elementary school. Because in elementary school, I was going to Sunday school, mostly because my parents and me have always been very closely tied to the church. And so at Sunday school, I learned that Rachel was essentially the worst of the two wives of Jacob. And even though I've now researched that she was the wife that Jacob preferred, she is always portrayed as being the one that is selfish and jealous and competitive. And her sister, Leah, is kind of depicted as being like the nice one, the holy one. It's from Leah's bloodline that Jesus eventually comes, so I guess she's pretty important. Meanwhile, Rachel's just kind of tossed aside like, man, that person is horrible. All she was beautiful. And so I asked my mom, I'm like, "Hi, Mom, you're very religiously tied, so why did you name me after such a jerk in the Bible?" And she looks at me and she's like, "Oh, yeah, that is a thing, isn't it? I actually named you after my best friend in college." To which I'm like, "Great, but you're also tied to the church, so this is forever gonna follow me." But it also was interesting to me because my identity wasn't derived from like something that they thought really fit me necessarily. It was derived from something that fit her friend, and I guess secondarily also seemed like a good name for a kid. So at its very foundation, my name and therefore my identity is kinda not mine. And this troubled me for a while because it was like, I don't even know this Rachel person. They are a no one to me. They're essentially someone that we have a Christmas ornament from, and I've asked about 1,000,000 times, but at the end of the day, I know next to nothing about them. And so it kind of became this weird thing for a while until I eventually decided, you know what? It doesn't matter. I don't really know this Rachel, so I'm just gonna keep being my own Rachel and go through my life that way. And so I went through elementary school and middle school and a high school, and I found that the name Rachel, at least in those schools, was relatively uncommon. I only found about 2 other Rachels in all of those years, and whenever I found one of those Rachels, I kind of locked eyes with them and stared them down and was like, okay, who are you and how are you different from me? And I would analyze that information and internalize it so that if anyone ever happened to confuse the two of us, I could quickly interject and be like, "Oh no, that's actually Raquel, and Raquel is all of these things, and I am all of these things." So as you can see, we are very different people, so please do not make that mistake again. And so, even though I didn't quite go about this as dramatically as I am expressing it, what I did do was keep tabs on each of the Rachels, kind of know who they were and what classes they were in and all of that, just so that I would, just so I would know that if the name Rachel came up, whose achievement it was and whether I needed to take someone down or not. And so, life was pretty good going through all these things. A lot of people got to know my name, and a lot of people would just, see me in the halls and be like, "Hey Rachel, what's up?" And I'd be like, "Hey." And it very much did become my identity. It became something that was nice and pure and just who I was rather than who anyone else was, as a name should be. And so I come to the University of Arizona, and I go to my first class, and as they're taking roll, I find that there are other Rachels. And it's not just like one, like it has been in all of the past times. It's a ton of them. Every single one of my classes has at least 2 Rachels where they take roll. And every single one of them has all of the Rachels like saying here all at once, as the teachers don't realize that there's multiple of them for a second. And it quickly wears on me because I'm like, wait, I'm not unique anymore? I'm not the only Rachel anymore? What's going on? I don't understand this. And so I just kind of had this little like moment. And whenever there was one class that we had where we were taking roll, and there was me as the Rachel, and then there was another one, and they were absent. And it got to the point where when I heard that they weren't there, I was like, yes, there's only room enough in this anime discussion for one Rachel, and that is me. And so I think everyone that was looking at me or would happen to look at me at that moment would see just this huge smile on my face as I heard that they weren't there that day. And then when they did show up, it was very annoying. Very, very annoying. But it's not anyone's fault to be called Rachel. It's, of course, just a funny coincidence and sort of thing that happens when you go to college because there's more people. And so there's bound to be more people that have your same name. But I did start thinking, like, if there's so many Rachels, how are people supposed to remember me? Because how would you not just mix that memory with like all of the other Rachels? And as I'm pondering this and pondering the thought of maybe changing my name to my middle name, which is much less common, I'm just kind of walking and thinking like, oh man, maybe I really should. And then someone comes and they're like, oh hey Rachel, and I'm like, oh hey. and then I realized that, at the end of the day, your name does identify you. It is a large identifier, as I discussed, because it is inseparable from who you are. But it doesn't matter if there's other people with your same name, especially if you act as a unique person, because people will remember your uniqueness over your name. People aren't going to be over here thinking like, man, this Rachel is good because of this reasons, and this Rachel is good because of these reasons, and therefore I should only talk to the ultimate Rachel who is going to be able to save the world with the Rachelness. It doesn't work like that. All having the same name kind of does is allow people to remember you better, as they think, oh yeah, they have the same name as my friend who did this, this, and this, and then it allows them to get to know who you are a little bit better. Not gonna lie though, I am still very competitive with all the other Rachels, and consider this a challenge to any Rachels watching this right now. I am going to be so much better than you, and I am going to take our name, and I am going to be the one that makes it well known. So just keep that in the back of your mind. As for all the rest of you, thanks for watching. I hope that you guys soar high and enjoy your ride of life. Bye.